It was set for 6:45 and we're like an hour and 15 minutes later. So, I appreciate it. I see there's 21 people in here right now, which is incredible. I have a special needs child. He's 5, my son Tommy. And sometimes, things are a little tricky. So, he had a moment. He got something stuck in between his tooth. It's going to work itself out. But, he doesn't really want you to help him. So if you just floss, it'll come out, like a piece of food. But, he's very aversive to the mouse. So it's very hard to even touch his mouse. So, he's like autistic and stuff. You guys know the deal, my main audience. So we just had like a moment. He's fine. It's gonna work itself out. It's just it needed attention and we just needed to calm him down because he was feeding off of us, even trying to help him. And now he's fine. He's playing with his cars. He just had a feeding and stuff, and you know, it'll work itself out now. Something gets stuck in between your teeth, eventually it comes out, but it's just a momentary thing. So everything's good. I wanted to still come on and do this live. I know it's 8 o'clock now, so I do appreciate everybody who is here. We just went through the daily close and we had a rather interesting one. It's funny because crypto's doing one thing, and you look at gold here and it's closed at a record high here of over $3,000 an ounce for the first time. And I know there's a section of you guys that understand the commodities with me, with precious metals and the commodities. And B2 Gold's up 9% today. It's now up to $3.23. We're on a tear right now. And we had a lot of time to buy. It sat down near that 240, 250, and even $2.60 mark for quite some time. And, it's just been something cool. Fortuna Silver Mines is only up 1.5% today, but it's been on a little bit of a run. First Majestic was up 6%. Barrick Gold up a little bit today, nothing major, 2.1%, but that's one that I would look at if I was everybody. That hasn't played out, that inverse right shoulder. It's going to come up here. I mean, it's just a matter of time. We're going to see it at $21, and B2 Gold ran out before it. So like you see the same outlier here. Broke out and we had a target up here similar to what Barrick Gold's is at 21. This was around 330 and we're practically right there. It's the same exact measurement I used for both. Not exactly the same, but they both had that inverse head and shoulders. I measured it down and it just ended up powering out of there. And Barrick Gold seems like it's doing the same thing. I'm going to get in crypto, believe me, but I wanted to make sure that I give precious metals, commodities, and you see this inverse right shoulder that looks like it's going to pop out now, and we're just waiting for it. But I'm just trying to show, a part that I really like. And sometimes I forget, so oftentimes you'll see me lead with it, in just a sense very quickly, even if it's just 2 or 3 minutes. The ones above it that you see that are delayed, those are the emerging markets one that I have through the mutual funds, so that's just what that is over the top. But as far as XRP goes, we're down 0.37% since the flip of the clock, but we're still under that $2.40 mark. I would really like to see it come above $2.41 and hold. But one thing that could allow us to push out of here and have ourselves it's not a huge move, but we could have ourselves a 15% move, and that's what I show here. And it's up a little bit higher if you actually judge it, unless it comes down here and bounces. But you really don't want it to, because you really want this to play out kind of like a little flag here and bounce off of this structure from right around there. But I moved it down here just to give us a little bit of a flexibility. But if we do reverse back down, and we have a small reversal here in the 4-hourly, and we don't really want that. We don't want to see it break back down. We want to play off of what looks like an little inverse head and shoulder, but it's so, I don't want to call it jank the way it is, but being inside of a broadening wedge, we've also got a falling channel that's set up over time here that we've come in and out of, and that's like an inverse head and shoulders in a longer time frame. But the bottom line is here, for us to feel any kind of security, yes, it's nice to be up where we're at over the $2.23, which would almost be like a symmetrical triangle in the smaller time frames. But you want to get up over, obviously it'd be nice to play out to $2.67, but we still need to get over and have a close or just some kind of push over this $2.41 mark. And if you play it into real time, if this did break out and it held, I mean, this would suggest in that little channel we've been in that we could get back up towards 290, but we got so much resistance, you know, that we've got to get back over. This would be the next one. This would be the next one. It's just we had a daily candle that looks like slight reversal again. And, you know, we're going to have to pick up some pace here. We need to pick up some pace. We already know in the daily we had these bearish crosses. In the 4 hourly we had a bullish cross, but we're kind of stuck where the daily meets the 4 hourly, and that's tricky because we're stuck at the 20-day resistance that needs to be acting as support, but because we've had that bearish cross in the daily, it's actually acting as a resistance unless we can flip it, as to where the 4 hourly is trying to retake the 20-day as support, but it's kind of a make it or break it moment because sometimes in the daily, you get the micro movements that look bullish even though the daily is just working through its momentum, like through its phase. And right now we came up to the 200-day, and that's a rejection there. And if that plays true, then the daily is going to continue moving from a bearish cross, and then it's going to cross through the 50-day, as the 20, now the 50 it would do, and so on and so forth until it would cross through the 200-day, showing micro movements of bullishness. But in the end, it just kind of takes the steps down. And if that's the case, that would be, you know, the massive head and shoulders. But we're trying to find a way for that not to happen. You know, we're trying to see any avenue here where we could avoid disaster and work our way out. So I think it's important for us to continue to, you know, hone in here. I think it's important for us to stay, you know, on track because it's an emotional thing with these markets right now. And the funny thing is like risk assets are getting hammered, and it's not funny, but there's an avenue here in commodities and precious metals, and it's like the silent bull market of all silent bull markets. And money finds yield. Like, that's the best saying ever. Money finds yield. So if risk assets become too hot, it's going to find a safe haven, and that's gold and silver and commodities. And I think that's what's starting to happen. I don't necessarily think the general public is waking up to it, but institutions certainly are. And it's an interesting dynamic. I've never heard it so quiet around commodities. You know, and I've been in this market for with commodities for probably 8 to 10 years now. And this is the quietest I've seen it. Like, literally the quietest I've seen it. And it's getting into something remarkable. It's so weird. And then crypto this is the most, and I think this is even worse than 21, and how many people think that this is going so certain, that it's going so high. It's at a different level. So something's got to give one way or the other, and we might be finding a small identifying mark here just because what gold's doing. Silver still looks like it's a great play, getting ready to just bust out of here. I think commodities are speaking to something, but we're still in this channel, you know, until we break top side. And eventually it's going to break out of here. I mean, this has been a 40, 50 years in the making. It's going to happen. But money's going to start finding its way into a safe haven. Maybe that's mutual funds for some. Maybe that's a CD. You know, maybe that's just, well, commodities. The commodities is more than just mining stocks, too. I mean, you're talking sugar and, you know, just a whole bunch of crap. But I haven't given up on crypto. It just needs a kick in the nuts. Well, actually, it's gotten a kick in the nuts. Now it needs a kick in the ass. But right now, again, it looks like, I don't want to be contrarian here because I want it to go up. But like, if I'm looking at it from this perspective in this smaller time frame, I could argue that it's trying to get rejected here. And then if so, it's got a return rally right back down to this unfortunate area that it just can't seem to get past now. But it could backtest this 220.5 again. But we're in a weird spot here. We are in a weird spot here. We are definitely in a weird spot. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, my friend, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Make sure you watch his podcast on YouTube. I actually really enjoy it. A lot of information for the enthusiasts out there. But yeah, let me do the intro. Just a lot to look at. This isn't like, oh my God, we're screwed. This is just, you know, we got to make sure we're not coming to a moment, and I always talk about this. We got to make sure we're coming to a moment where the buy the dip Doesn't turn into just, hey, I bought it 50% off, and then it goes down another 20%, and then we're buying it, another 55% off, or another 20% off from where it was just at, but it continuously goes down. That's what we don't want to find ourselves doing. So we need one of these areas to break free, and we need the 4-hourly to break free and end up coming back to the daily. So, we just want to make sure that this does end up breaking. And it has a chance here, but it does look like, if you look at this inverse shoulder, if you use that, how it came through, then it looks like it would come here to validate that same area. This would just be a step up to a big down, and then it could bounce out. So what I mean is, and I try to look at identifying parts of the pattern. So we had this kind of come down here, so we start looking at it right there. So that's the inverse left shoulder to a head. Now we're looking for that big impulse back down, which this could be right here. And then we end up shooting out, and then maybe that's how you create that inverse right arm. But you need something like that to happen, and then you could see it would be kind of like a big W right there. Otherwise, if it gets rejected here, then you start looking like this, and you start stepping down again, and we got to stop stepping down. If we want to make something big happen, we've got to stop stepping down. But right now, it just seems there's a lot of we know about the manipulation, but right now it's about as bad as I've seen it in crypto. And I've often said when they start talking regulations and pushing regulations and end up enforcing regulations, it changes the name of what we're doing. Didn't we all start in crypto because we didn't want the government's overreach? And now we're starting to ask for that. Joseph, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Tom, do you know Albert Pike? Curious, sir. That name doesn't ring a bell, honestly. But don't judge me today. My mind's about hit its limit. So, there could be things that I know that I can't think of right now. But that name, it does not ring a bell, honestly. But yeah, we'll get into this. We'll look at any news and stuff. Make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube does. That name sounds familiar, though.
What name?
I feel like that name sounds familiar, though. Albert Pike.
Is it a follower?
No, but it sounds like somebody who's... I feel like I've seen that name before. I just can't remember. I swear I've seen that name. Just... Mason. That makes sense. That's why the name seemed familiar, but I couldn't put my finger to it. But now that you mention it, that makes sense. 33rd degree Mason. Interesting. Good evening. 8:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, March 17th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, we got a lot of stuff going on in the market. Some good, a lot of bad, a lot of deception. Is that all by design? We know we've got this Bitcoin short, pretty big one, not for us, but a whale did it. And they opened it at just over 84,000, and I estimated it on a 40x. The short would end up getting liquidated, assuming they're not in a cross margin and they don't have something to cover it after it goes down 2.5%. That's about 86,100, give or take, is where the liquidation would be. So, it hasn't gotten liquidated yet. And looking at the chart, it's got some balls. He's either got some balls or he's in the know. And if he's in the know, excuse me, it was meant to only come up to fill the CME, which was the gap left Friday in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Well, then this makes sense what happened today. It came right up to the gap area a couple times. Never quite hit. Hell, they haven't even hit the 200 day and the 2 hour yet. So, but this is where we'll find out if it's going to start. And the smaller time frames, you'll see what I mean. We had that golden cross there in the 45. I think in the hourly we're working on. Yep. So right now the hourly. So now you're looking to see if we can confirm this. Have that 20-day cross to 200 around 83,760 and not fall back through. So it's an interesting spot. We do have a little reversal here. It's just a little inversion. Kind of an inverse head and shoulders snuck in there. Yeah, but is it going to play out? We're trying to. Also looks like we could be building some kind of inverse head and shoulders here in a bigger pattern that would in time get us back up near 91,000 or a rejection at 86,500 area. So, I mean, and we're on the outside of this little channel on the falling channel we were in. So, I mean, this doesn't speak to, we're just going to break down yet. Unless we lose, it was 82,200, but it's actually given itself some more grace. Now it would have to come down and lose 81,570 approximately. But not out of the woods yet by any means. Just, showing a little oomph. But I don't know how much follow through there's going to be with this oomph. Hopefully a lot. Hopefully a lot of follow through. Since the flip of the clock, what are we seeing? Everything's pretty flat. Nothing major. A little bit of green, a little bit of gray. A little bit of red. Let's see. Anything major? I don't see anything. DGB's up like 0.6%, but nothing major. And Ethereum just can't get out of its own way either. Ethereum is on the bottom side resistance-wise. This would be big. To me, this is going to be a big moment. Ethereum. Excuse me. But a big reason why I think Ethereum is going to be big here. And one could argue, and we have been arguing, that XRP's actually been leading the alts into some kind of alt season, even though we haven't gotten it yet. And maybe it's because XRP's not supposed to be leading it. It's usually Ethereum. But let's just say we get rejected at this 200. You could go from the 200 and say, man, we're going down to the 1,000 level. Look how crazy that would be. Wouldn't that be crazy? Or 1629. Sorry, not the 1,000. But 1629 here to reset again. I mean, this is getting crazy. Now, we know after we broke down on the rising wedge, and I continue to talk about it because it's important. Man, that's another fucking 15% if that happened. Holy shit. But it broke down out of this rising wedge, which, we front ran it for a while, and it kind of made, this is what made me nervous originally. When the market was up like 40, 50% from where it's at. Now, this is the exact formation that made me nervous. And I circled it and said, well, I guess it could maybe be an inverse head and shoulders, but that's a rising wedge. And they usually break up or break down about 70% of the move. I mean, one could argue that that's getting through the back third of this move. We might reevaluate it and maybe it is a little tighter. But the fact it broke down, the technical target's $496 from there. I mean, do we really think Ethereum is going to go all the way to 496? It hasn't invalidated it completely, but the old inverse head and shoulder setup where the right shoulder looked like it was at, that's come down too far now, I believe. Now it's got to remake some kind of arm here. Or this was a failed attempt and this rising wedge is breaking down. I mean, does everybody see that? Or am I just kind of overanalyzing this? I would love to know. I really would love to know if maybe I'm overanalyzing this. I've been asking the same question since like late December. But obviously in December, I look kind of stupid because it started to come up for the resistance while we talked about it. But it doesn't look so rising wedges, like wedge. It's not like, it doesn't look like a wedgie when it's actually on the uptick. It only looks like when it starts breaking down, then you're like, oh shit, there really was a rising wedge there. But yeah, it could be that's what I'm hoping, Papa Wheelie, that it's making a new inverse head and shoulders. That's what I'm hoping. Maybe it does catch it, even if it pumps down, to 1,700 area or 1620, maybe it does still hold there. Because until it comes all the way through here, technically, you'd have to come through maybe 1,500 area so that you couldn't make an inverse, maybe it would invalidate it. But there's still room here. There's no doubt about it. That's why I keep saying I'm trying to find ways for the market not to cave in. Because I could certainly point a lot of areas where we're like, uh-oh. But I mean, one thing of positivity is if you look at XRP now, we seem to be ranging between $1.80 and $2.40 now. Instead of when we were ranging between 38 and 75 or 90. So, I mean, at least we're ranging higher. It's just, I don't like to just be overly bullish or overly bearish. I just like to stay in the moment. And right now, like for me with Bitcoin, it's not done by any means. It's actually showing us some strength here, possibly. we just need to pay attention. If for some reason we can't get past that 86,550 area and it just ends up being a burden, that we'll just be prepared for what's to come. And we know 74,000 is there. We know that that was a target, a short target, and then a bigger target. If this pattern did bust, I mean, it could make it interesting, but this pattern's drawn out now. Now it's irrelevant to look at it any other way besides this little channel on the back end. If we were to get a resistance at 86,500, maybe we come down to that 58 to 62,000 range. But first, we'd have to break that 74K. That's a big support. That's the area I was calling out in December. We almost hit there. We missed it by about 2,000. But you know, the other thing, like Tanya said, bear market. That's something I've been saying, and it's not because I want to say we're in a bear market, and it's not because I've given up, or it's not because I'm being a dick, or I'm being harsh, or judgmental. It's just I look at the market a little different than just having a straight bullish and bearish cycle. Sometimes you have bearish cycles and bear markets within an extended bull run. So sometimes you end up falling back into bear market territory. It happens. Now you have to make sure you don't go into an extended bear market to where it just continues to go, lower. And the one way that, I like to identify this, and I always talk about this, does everybody know my own saying, or my whole saying since 2021? And, it's almost been 4 years now, believe it or not. 4 years on the 24th. And you guys, if you've been watching, you've been here every single day because I've not missed a day, unbelievably. But we always have this little saying, take the stairs up, take the elevator down. Is this what we're starting to do now? Because we don't want this to keep happening, because then it brings you back. We can go to XRP and start saying the same thing. And we talked about how we started to take the stairs down in December. And that's where I was like, oh, son of a bitch, we're back to 21, it feels like. Except we're a lot higher right now. But we took the elevator up. We take the stairs. And now that's why we have to break this. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't want to keep taking the stairs and becoming progressively lower, even though it looks like there's big bounces. So then it's like, oh, we're buying the dip. Yeah, oh shit. Buying the dip. Yeah, oh shit. Oh boy, and now we're on this never-ending track down. Almost like Enron. Hey, we got a little bit of a bounce. We're back to even. Oh boy. And that's why in the bull market, it's nice because every time you'd have a bounce, it's like, whew, oh, little correction, let's buy more. Whoop, little correction, let's buy more. Now we're like, let's buy more on every correction. Because then you start to overthink it. And right now we're still in the bearish zone. As much as I want to say we're in the bullish zone, we're in the bearish zone. We're in the dead cat bounce zone. And we got to get out of dead cat bounce zone so that we can get into bullish central. If we're not in bullish central, we're in bearish avenue. And if we're in bearish avenue, we have no pants. I prefer to have pants on. I don't wear any undergarments. So if I lose my pants, I'm naked. So if you catch my drift. So, we want to make sure we got enough support to have our pants on. So, yeah, that's exactly algo. That's a perfect example. Algo, even though buying it at 33 cents doesn't seem like a bad buy. It doesn't. I mean, especially when you realize in its history, algo back in the 21 and 22 markets, we were way up there. We were way up there. And algo is still within a very nice consolidation. And we don't know when it's going to break out. But algo's down. And no one's going to be like, oh, man, if I could have got algo for 94% cheaper from the top, right? I don't know if anybody. Tom, I'd love to pick your brain for a bit, if you don't mind. I'm going to have to come at a date later. Well, unless you want to pick my brain during the live, that's fine. But I'm a little busy on the home front here. Like, my mind's overwhelmed, so to say. But definitely in the future. Don't get caught with your pants down, Tom. I won't, Jennifer. Try not to. Is he? But like being down 94%, you're not looking at that as a bad buy. Even when it was down at 33 cents. No, it's down 90%. And yet this is what I mean, like it just continuously. And now we've essentially, we can see we're back in bear market. The only thing algo needs to do now is drop back down to that 8 or 9 cent or 10 cent level it was at. You know, and that's where we rode from. It was at 8 cents, had this nice inverse head and shoulders, broke up. Kind of looks like it might have got invalidated. I feel like the market invalidated itself in a sense. And it's sad to see. The Dolly Parton pad. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Don't we have... So I don't even have to say it. I don't have to say anything. Our audience will say it. We just need a good few days. We sure do, Syrian. We sure do. And thank you for being in Tom's Army and made a very trusted mind. Much appreciated. Joey, thank you for the $2 donation. That's incredibly generous. How are we looking on DGB, Tom? Well, DGB, somebody asked this in the Telegram earlier, and I say the same thing I'm going to tell you that I told them. That 0.833, I don't know why for some reason it cannot overtake that area, but it needs to overtake this area in a pretty fast pace. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves doing the dirty work here. See how we have this death cross? And see how we're still being rejected by the 20-day? This is not finished. If that's a bear flag and it's extended, see, I drew this out. And when I drew it out initially, I said, don't judge it because it's not perfectly drawn. But I was trying to signify the bear flag that you can see here now. It was just days early. Here, I'll put it in here now. But we have something where we kind of have a bear flag. Whoops, that looks like... That's the worst bear flag I might be the... No, I can't say it's the worst one I've ever drawn. You guys have seen me saw some pretty bad bear flags. So we got some... I wish I could just, whatever, I'll just move it. TradingView, for whatever reason, after using it for years, they updated it to where you literally have to leave the drawing tool to delete it, which makes absolutely zero sense. I think you guys understand what I'm saying with this bear flag, even though I drew it like horse manure. Good enough. You guys see the bear flag. So... if this plays out and then plays down, that bear flag gets us to... Let's just move this real quick. Perfectly right down to that 0057 area. So how is DGB looking? Honestly, I would like to have better news. But if this bear flag plays out, it's going to cut... I mean, this is where it gets scary because where the prices are at, if this were to cut down like that, I mean, you're talking about losing 1/3 of the value of DGB. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but right now we've got to invalidate this death cross. Like, we have to do it like our, you know, we need this to happen. Well, I don't want to go into politics. See, if I say something wrong, then I'm going to be deemed Satan, and I don't want to go down that road. We want to make sure we give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and not invite the devil. Let's just put it that way. It can be a slippery slope in this community. If I invite the wrong mental mindset. I don't disagree, Cornstar, with Caleb and Brown. It's just you have to pay a managing fee. So, I mean, it's like you have a financial advisor you're paying when you don't. Sure, you can call them anytime, but why do I want to pay them? You know, I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's just I hate that management fee. Like, if I'm a self-directed trader, I don't want to pay 3 to 5% over on a trade just so I can have the illusion that you're going to help me when something goes wrong. Like, not you personally, but they have a lot of stuff. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of stuff. It always rubbed me the wrong way. But anyhow, maybe it's a good thing, though. I mean, you know, especially if you need help. God knows I do. But yeah, that's DGB. So we've got to get past this bear flag. Does that make sense? We've got to get past this bear flag. And I would love to get past it. I would love to get past it in all of crypto. And then I don't want to depress myself with looking at some of this, you know? Like this, my brain says, hey, Tom, you know that's a death cross in the daily. That's not exactly good news, you rocket scientist. It's like, oh, yeah, I know, brain. But you got to bring the mood down on a Monday? Jesus, we just went through the 13th red Sunday in a row. So I try to look for positivity on Monday. And knowing full well that death cross is there and we're not doing ourselves any favors as of yet. I want us to do ourselves favors. I do. I want this to pan out. Because that looks like an inverse right shoulder, head and shoulders. It kind of looks like it. I've got 3. 1 is off and future. Nice. So let's see. XRP Bitcoin pairing. Still faring pretty well versus Bitcoin. We haven't been able to get out of this range, but see, that looks like to me, we got a big inverse head and shoulders and the small, in the overall, but it's starting to imitate itself. So unless this invalidates itself or ends up bringing down this bearish side of town and ends up getting down to like that 0, 0, 0, 0, 2674 and breaks it in the SAT level to 2674 SAT level, I'm not feeling so bad. Unless if it breaks that barrier down, well, yeah, then we might be able to talk and be like, yeah, that's not exactly where we want to go. But that still doesn't have a lot of credence. That could just be that the market started to reverse down, and XRP just had a little bit of a turmoil compared to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin does have a chance. We do have a chance. We're on the outside of some of these areas. We just got to get past some higher pivot points. But I haven't lost confidence. It's just, I lost a little faith in the ones who are pushing the buttons right now because, unfortunately, we're giving way to regulation, and that's what I was hoping to avoid in 2025 for crypto. I was hoping to push it back until like 28, but it seems like we're on the fast track to being regulated, and it's an interesting dynamic when you're trying to get new people to come into crypto by saying, it's a free way of doing things that, avert to the government regulations and things like that, or government control. We use crypto because, we can get away from the government control. But now we're giving the government all the control, and we found out the government's actually in control of it. So that starts to sour some people. Other people are going to be like, well, the hell with this. I'm just going to buy the meme tokens, and they're going to get wrecked. In this cycle, the memes don't do well when this starts happening. I think you all see what's been happening to the memes. I'm not even sure. Should I even look at the GOAT token where it's at in these days? Oh, thank you so much, King Rebel, for not only being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, but also the $4.99 donation. That is super generous. That is super generous. And the GOAT token was the one that they got a lot of people excited, XRP holders and things like, oh boy. This is a perfect example of memes and what they do. You guys remember when all this happened? And everybody, like a lot of people were switching from XRP. They were around the same price. And then initially they watched this go up. And XRP was still trickling up, just not as fast. And then all of a sudden, after 167%, it's cratered. So now if you traded out XRP, you got a little lazy. You thought memes were the way because you had a quick spike. Well, this is what happens to memes all the time. Because the ones who tell you to buy it are the ones who sell out and use you as exit liquidity. That's, I was very transparent with the GOAT token for one reason. They offered me 100,000 tokens to advertise it. Well, that never ends well. I said it before and I'll say it again. That never ends well when they offer you, because then they give you a price where you can sell it. And obviously every person they tell that is going to sell it at that point. And the point that I had was like $1, what was it? 27 or something, $1.17. I can't remember. But you figure they were offering me $117,000 basically for free just to promote the token so that people would get ruined. And I see why. Maybe I should have took the 6 figures. That could have been nice. That would have been a nice time. Then I could have shorted it. That's the biggest mistake I made. I didn't short the fucker. Oh, excuse me. I didn't short that. Nope, you'll never get the bottom or top. I always, it's easier for me to get closer to a bottom than the ultimate top. I like to sell the shoulders. And the right shoulder on XRP, technically, it could be all the way down to like $1.83 or maybe even $1.50 before you get that validation that it breaks down. 3-1 odds on Duke to win. No, Duke's not winning it. Michigan got screwed. I hope you guys understand how screwed Michigan got in the seeding. We won the Big Ten tournament championship yesterday. We beat Wisconsin. We also beat Wisconsin and kicked the shit out of them at Wisconsin earlier in the year. beat them in the Big Ten championship, beat Purdue twice, beat Maryland in the Big Ten tournament, and they put us the 5th seed in the hardest region, and then they put Wisconsin as a 3 seed, which doesn't even make sense because we beat them twice and whooped their ass at the home when they were at home. Maryland, I don't understand how they ended up where they were. So, is he? Okay. I won't be on much longer. It's been 35 minutes. Yeah. I'll come in there. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, it was an amazing thing when I seen the seating. Me and my brother couldn't believe it because we watched it at my dad's house. And when it came out, I was just looking at it like, what? I was thinking maybe a 4 if we got screwed up. 5. What were we, a 9 seed before the Big Ten tournament? Like, we're Big Ten champions, damn it. We won the tournament. And I consider that a Big Ten championship because you got 2 ways to win the Big Ten championship. And when we used to win the regular season, they'd say, oh, the Big Ten tournament was better. And then we win the Big Ten tournament and say, oh, the regular season's better. Give me my championship. Jennifer says, I'm out myself. Thank you, Tom. See you tomorrow. Yeah, I apologize, Jennifer, that it's so late. I really am. But I'm glad you're here still and you're able to see some. And yes, positivity is key. It is really key. Yeah, see money. They did. I agree. They did. They did. But yeah, the big thing here, I guess the biggest thing here while we still have each other's attention. I mean, fuck. I hate that it reversed right where it did too. It's like we can't catch a break right now in crypto. It's like I want this to reverse back to the top side. I'll go into H bar. Down to 18.9, down 1%. I want this to go to the top side, but even H bar, I mean, if this played out like a bear flag, and let's look at it both ways. If this actually plays out from here, and that was a big drop, right? You could go here. You could come down here. If you look at the higher time frames, it'll be easier so that you can kind of decide. Almost looks like, how would I do it? Whoops. I would probably do this. Let's see. I would probably go from here. We have this bounce, wick, back. I'd probably come down to here, if I'm being honest. Only because if this did get rejected and we ended up losing this, you've got to get the proper target. And I'm not going to get an invalid target just because I want to make it look pretty. I hate how it lines up there. But again, you could say it lines up at 24.6 if it breaks up. So, I mean, that's the opposite, the equal or opposite reaction. So, there's still a chance, though. Little inversion here. Up at the top, at the top of the blue circle. So, it's not over yet. This is not over. We just always, when we get into a moment like this, we like to do 2 things here so that no matter what happens, we're not caught off guard. We like to do the contrarian look along with the more positive view as well. And right now, the bad view, I'm trying to find where that area of the sweet spot is right now. 45 got rejected. That's not the sweet spot though, I don't think. Maybe it's playing out in the 30-minute because if this just comes down right here to like 18.8 and holds, maybe you could bounce off here in the short time frame and come up here, retest that. But if you come back below here, 18.2, and ultimately you come down past 17.8 and you can't really catch any footing, you got some problems here. And I think that's fair to say it would come down to that 12.5 cent area. That's what I'm saying. If this does break down this level, it's going to be quick. It wouldn't be a short one. This would be one of those where all of a sudden we're looking at it and we're like, hey, maybe there is a bullish setup here. And then it would drop, 25% across the market. But it's not there yet. It's not there yet because I could make the same argument that we've got a little bit of a bullish setup at the back end of it, even if it's a small time frame. MXC sitting at 2 cents. It's trying to break up. MXC is trying to do something here in the shorter time frames. We can see it. Got a golden cross here, back tested the 20 and the 200, all the way back down to the 50 and the 100 in the 30 minute. So it's trying to, this is good. This is something that looks decent. Looks like it could have that inverse head and shoulder. I mean, this finally looks like maybe it is reversing, hopefully. This might be one that comes out of nowhere, finally. 45-minute back above the 200, which is important. About to have the golden cross. Already back tested it. At least right before it went through. If you could get a nice volume follow through here, this could be a nice little move here, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we'll watch. We'll watch. But notice that's a big drop. You could come all the way back up here and still have a bigger drop. So there's a lot of work to be done here. A lot of work to be done here. But hopefully we take the up route. And we could have a little bit of positivity here going into April. It's just pretty crazy seeing some of where these are. It's unbelievable. IOTX way down here and could be going way lower if it happened. But much like MXC, I noticed earlier today this had some golden cross that were starting to take place. I mean, you got a little bit of movement here. 2 hourly, I know it pushed past. So, I mean, golden cross there, back tested. It had a nice consolidation. Could be starting something. Some of these are just so beaten up. Maybe this is the area now. Starts to swing out here finally. It came down all the way to the support. I mean, it's amazing how far it came down. It's incredible. But it hit that perfectly. It came down there perfectly. And that, I could argue that might be a big cup and handle. And I have argued that many times. It just is, does it have to come down farther? Or can it finally break out of here on this big inverse head and shoulder? And where the right shoulder on the inversion is actually the handle on the big cup. So I still have a lot of hope. I haven't given up. Haven't given up by a long shot. I haven't given up by a long shot. Ooh, you're right about where I'm at, my friend. Aaron, I have 2 million MXC. So we basically got the same. Basically have the same. I'm not giving up on it. I'm not giving up on a lot of these. I just think it's interesting. I really think it's interesting where we're at right now because so much stuff can happen. Hashtag seeking to add XRP and ADA to crypto index ETF. Nice. A lot of good stuff happening. North Korea surpasses El Salvador in Bitcoin holdings fueled by Bybit hack. That's the way we're going to play this one. I see. XRP's role in U.S. digital asset stockpile raises questions on token utility. Bet it does. Let's see. Legendary trader Bollinger considers XRP's leader potential. BlackRock resumes Bitcoin buying. John Deaton denounces XRP Cardano's validation. Denounces XRP Cardano's validation by Securities and Exchange Commission. Legendary trader Bollinger on XRP. Will it become a new leader? On March 14th, legendary trader John Bollinger took the X platform to weigh in on XRP token for the first time in several years. In his post, Bollinger pointed at this token's outstanding resilience during challenging times by using a metaphor from Greek mythology. Of all the major crypto vehicles, Ripple resisted the recent singing of the siren song best, wrote the trader concluding his post. Bollinger suggested that XRP might have the potential to become a new market leader. In the meantime, XRP has demonstrated remarkable strength amid a recent downturn. On the market over the past 7 days, XRP recorded 7.78% growth, while Bitcoin, the flagship crypto, grew by 1.55% over the same period. In addition, 2 factors can help fuel XRP's positive momentum. See, I'm finding positivity here, folks. Franklin Templeton's recent XRP ETF filing and the Ripple vs. SEC case being reportedly wrapped up. BlackRock resumes Bitcoin buying with fresh 25 million check. A wave of optimism swept through the crypto market on Friday, March 14th, as the price of Bitcoin has managed to almost reach the 85,000 level. While this rally was unfolding, one of the biggest players in the crypto space, BlackRock, resumed acquiring Bitcoin through its Bitcoin ETF. According to data provided by Arkham Intelligence, BlackRock just received 25 million worth of Bitcoin from Coinbase Prime, a fresh injection of relief following days and even weeks of withdrawals from IBIT and other Bitcoin ETFs. Despite concerns related to the ongoing tariff war, Bitcoin's resilience is resisting testing 80,000. Well, I mean, it did. It went down to 78. Can lead to rapid bullish action. At press time, Bitcoin is around 83,195. It's a little higher than that. Slightly. Crypto lawyer John Deaton denounces XRP Cardano's validation by SEC. In his recent post on X platform, prominent crypto lawyer John Deaton has debunked a false claim circulating within the crypto space. According to the claim, SEC has recently released a clarification on the potential roles of different cryptocurrencies within the U.S. government, including such popular assets as XRP, ADA, and Solana. Deaton addressed his followers and the entire crypto community in general, stating that the regulatory agency did not issue any categorization. Everyone, the SEC Gov, did not release any such thing. He wrote, Deaton urged XRP holders to stay cautious and avoid believing misinformation. According to experts, malicious actors could use these false assertions to deceive users. At press time, XRP is changing hands at $2.33, down 2.32% over the past 24 hours. ADA at 71.8 cents, down 1.47%. That's down like 45% since that sudden surge, if not more, over the same period, according to CoinMarketCap. Incredible. But yeah, I'm going to go. Julie's going to need me here. I know I got on late, but at least we're able to spend 46 minutes together. Oh, some of you got kicked off. That sucks. But yeah, it's probably a good time for me to go anyhow. I got to finish this stuff. A lot of stuff going on here. But yeah, we'll continue this conversation later on. Hopefully, I apologize. It wasn't an hour. I think we did something that we could. I did all I could do here tonight. I love all of you. I love you too, Frankie. I really do. You guys mean the world to me. We'll continue this tomorrow. Have a blessed evening, everybody, and I'm glad we're able to spend some time together. Have a blessed one, everybody. Thank you all so much. And it really does mean a lot to me. You guys have no idea. Like, it really, 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 really means a lot to me.